Human trafficking it includes minors, includes children, and it includes adults.
How young are the children who get into this?
It can be as early as when they're born. It broke my heart when I watched them pulling out girls from brothels in India. I'm Indian. And to see the fear, it was a mix of fear and relief and confusion on the faces of those girls, and to see the fear, the main thing, and knowing that how can we be living in a world if they are not able to talk to us, if they know that the pimp is watching them at that moment, then they won't talk to us. And maybe they'll hear about our services from somebody else, because we want them to be safe as well. Just because it's something that could be scary doesn't mean that those victims don't deserve to know that there is freedom for them. So we will take that risk and go speak to potential victims on the streets. One of the clients that we've worked with, she was actually kidnapped. She was tied up and forced to have sex with multiple men a day. And it was actually the Houston Police Department that rescued her out of that situation, and we were able to help her with therapy, case management. She actually has a stable job now. This is our encouragement tree, and so we ask anybody to come in and write notes of encouragement for the survivors. And this is just for them to see that they are loved and that they have dignity.
Natasha, you work in human trafficking. You work to battle what I think is one of the most serious problems our world has. What is human trafficking exactly?
So first of all, thank you so much just for being willing to talk about this issue. It's a very difficult issue to discuss. And so just at its core, human trafficking, it includes forced labor or forced sex. I'm not going to get into legal definition, but at its core, that's what it includes.
Mm-hmm. So what's an example of forced sex? Is it like when somebody's kidnapped and they're forced to become a sex worker, or like what is it exactly? Give me an example.
Yeah, there are multiple phases of human trafficking. In fact, the National Human Trafficking Resource Center lists actually over 20 different kinds of trafficking. So it could be somebody that pretends to be somebody's boyfriend, for example, and they manipulate them over time. They groom them into, say, prostitution, for example, and then they force them to have sex with other people in exchange for something of value. Human trafficking, people who are trafficked, they don't see gender, don't see an economic status. So it could include anyone. It could be me or you.
Well, but for us, a lot of us think that human trafficking is just a problem of the third world, right? Developing countries, places where people are poor, etc. But you're working in Houston, Texas, on human trafficking, which is one of the biggest metropolitan cities of the world. It's in a developed country like America. So is human trafficking really that serious of an issue in a place like the United States?
It is. So worldwide, there's estimates from, say, 21 to 46 million victims of trafficking worldwide. There was a study that came out from the University of Texas that there's an estimated over 313,000 victims of trafficking in Texas alone. And that doesn't even include adult victims of sex trafficking. And so it's a huge issue right here, even in Texas.
Are most victims adults, or are they children?
Human trafficking it includes minors, includes children, and it includes adults.
How young are the children who get into this?
It can be as early as when they're born. So really, human trafficking, it does not see an age limitation. In fact, just here in Houston, there was a dad who tried to traffic his 4-year-old daughter. Was trying to sell her on the internet for sex.
Wow. And how did he get caught? How was it?
Actually, that situation, thank God, HPD, Vice...
What's HPD?
Sorry, Houston Police Department, they actually saw the ad online and they were able to catch that perpetrator.
Wow. You mentioned the police. In a developed country like ours, America, why isn't the police or why isn't the government doing more, or do you think they're doing the best they can?
I think that there's a lot of limited resources. So I think that perceptions and culture have changed, but still need to change within, just our community, government, law enforcement, the criminal justice system. there's so much cultural change and perception that needs to change. There's so much more that we can do. We're trying to, increase trainings for, say, our law enforcement to identify signs of trafficking so that we can help victims instead of seeing them as criminals, which happens sometimes.
But, a lot of times, you walk on the streets and you see girls that are, trying to find customers, for lack of better words. And, I don't see sort of them being forced into it. They're walking on the roads. Why don't they just get out?
Yeah, so it's a lot more complex than meets the eye, right? So we don't know what were the factors that got them into that situation. Many victims of trafficking are forced into, taught how to be in the life or involved in prostitution, for example, when they're 10, 12, 13, 14, 15. They cannot consent. They do not understand what they're getting into. And by the definition of trafficking, they are automatically victims of trafficking because they're under 18. Now, when they're 18, 19, 20, it's not like they can just get out of that. They don't understand how to get out if they're worthy. It's a lot of, shame. There's a lot of trauma that has happened, whether that's childhood, say, sexual abuse or
Rape.
not having a voice, rape. There's so many factors that go into somebody getting involved, say, in the life or in prostitution or being a victim of trafficking. We often, when we're seeing on the streets, girls that are walking or guys, like I said, does not see gender, we don't see their trafficker, their pimp. But that does not mean that they have not manipulated them. They have not.
What's a pimp?
Yeah, so a pimp is somebody that is, in essence, kind of taking care of their I say taking care of, but really they're forcing say they can have one victim that they're in charge of or responsible for. They're forcing them to have sex in exchange for something of value, say.
So the pimp is kind of like the businessman,
yeah,
the merchant,
yes,
doing the trade.
exactly.
Got it. So, Natasha, we're sitting in The Landing, which is this beautiful, wonderful center that you started. And this has been your contribution towards this cause. It's something that means a lot to you. Tell us a little bit about this office that you have and what do you do here and how are you exactly working towards solving this global crisis of human trafficking?
So one of the main problems that we saw when addressing human trafficking and the victims is that they didn't have a safe place to go to understand how they can get free. So what we did is start a publicly accessible safe space for victims of trafficking and commercial sexual exploitation to come to access basic services or get more intensive services that will help them heal from their trauma.
Tell me about some of the help that women can get here.
So they can range from basic services such as food, clothing, hygiene products, a place to rest, computer access, to more intensive services, so such as case management. A lot of them have faced trauma, so we have counseling available for them. And then some of them are just trying to get justice, right? So connecting them with legal services, connecting them with law enforcement to be able to do a trauma-informed interview with them so that they can get that justice. And many of them just need jobs, right? So connecting them to jobs and helping them learn those skills to be able to get on their feet.
Mm-hmm. So, Natasha, tell me about a typical case that you get. What is, like the average woman who walks in here, what is her background like? What has she been through?
Each individual that comes to us has a different story. However, so many of them we've seen have faced sexual abuse at a young age. They have been forced into prostitution by a family member, a parent, an uncle, or a friend. One of the clients that we've worked with, she was actually kidnapped. She was tied up and forced to have sex with multiple men a day. And it was actually the Houston Police Department that rescued her out of that situation. And we were able to help her with therapy, case management. She actually has a stable job now. She is working on a survivor leadership program right now. So we have seen great success with her, and she's wanting to give back to other survivors. We've had another client who has a she's had a terrible pimp, an abuser in the past, and just over time and building trust with her, she was able to come out of that situation. She is in a mentorship program. She's a mentor that's working with her. She went through our empowerment program, so it's a 3-month program which she graduated from, and at the end of that she's eligible for up to $1,500 scholarship. And she's in a job skills program through a Second Cups Brazen Table program. So we have seen, all the way from, forced prostitution, all the trauma, the sexual abuse that's happened, to having a stable job, being able to see their worth in themselves. And it's just beautiful to see that transition.
How do these women find out about your center?
So they find out about our services in multiple ways. Through word of mouth. We go out onto the streets of Bissonnette here because it's a nationally known hotspot for trafficking and prostitution. And then we go into the jail.
You just see, you just see women walking on the roads?
Yes.
Wow.
Yes.
And you just go and you talk to them and you tell them about your center. But, earlier you told me that their pimps might be around watching them. So aren't you scared of that? Or do the pimps see you guys talking to them? How do you...
Yeah, and we know that, 3 years later that they know about us. They know about what we're doing here. So we really just believe that because it's something that could be scary doesn't mean that those victims don't deserve to know that there is freedom for them. So we will take that risk and go speak to potential victims on the streets. And if they are not able to talk to us, if they know that the pimp is watching them at that moment, then they won't talk to us. And maybe they'll hear about our services from somebody else because, we want them to be safe as well.
Mm-hmm. Got it. And you go to jails as well, right?
Yeah. We go into the jails and talk to those because many victims of trafficking, unfortunately, are still arrested just for prostitution. And the police department may not identify them as a victim, right? And so they're treated sometimes as a criminal.
Is prostitution, it's officially an illegal thing to do?
Illegal.
It is an illegal thing to do.
Yeah, there are some places in the U.S. where it is legal, but
in Texas,
it's
illegal.
It's illegal.
It's illegal. Got it. Our show is all about ordinary people doing extraordinary things. You're as ordinary as an Indian American can get. You were born to immigrants like I was. We both grew up in privileged families, and you had all the opportunities in the world in front of you. We were both in college together. You, however, chose an extremely difficult path for yourself. You are working in one of the most dangerous industries in the world, where even, police officers have to be very careful when getting into this because there's so much violence, there's so much murder, there's so much fear of these very powerful pimps and gangs. What makes you extraordinary?
It's a difficult question because I think that everybody has something extraordinary in them. And I think that something for me on why I do this is it's God. It's his heart for justice. So one of our favorite verses is Micah 6:8. This is what the Lord requires of you, to act justly, love mercy, and walk humbly with your God.
This is from the Bible.
This is from the Bible.
Okay.
And so that's what keeps me going every day. And I believe that it's perseverance too. Like, we're going to have tons of, and we have had tons of downs and ups, and it's that perseverance and keeping going because we know that God has a heart for justice, and that we need to set the captives free.
You were 18 when you got into this. You started getting familiar with this industry. What was that one triggering event that just made you realize, I'm not going the corporate route and I'm going to do this with my life?
So when I was 18, I went to a conference where I learned about different mission opportunities, whether that's doing good work abroad or here in the U.S. That's sharing about the love of God, and also and doing acts that serve others. And so I went to a workshop, and somebody from International Justice Mission was speaking about human trafficking, about modern day slavery. And that was the first time that I heard about it about 12 years ago. And it broke my heart when I watched them pulling out girls from brothels in India. And I'm Indian. And to see the fear, it was a mix of fear and relief and and confusion on the faces of those girls, and to see the fear, the main thing, and knowing that how can we be living in a world where you're still facing slavery, that people do not have the freedom to eat, sleep, walk, do whatever they want, that there are still these limitations. And it made me angry. And that was the moment where, I was like, well, this is what God is calling me to in my entire life.
Wow. Natasha, do you dream of a world that's going to be free of human trafficking one day?
I mean, absolutely. I mean, that would be wonderful to see that not being an issue.
What should ordinary people like myself do to stop human trafficking?
So there is something that everybody can do. One of those ways is to stop watching pornography, because many of the individuals that you see can be victims of human trafficking.
The people acting in the porn videos.
Yes, that they're forced into that. In addition, it just gives everybody unrealistic expectations of what a healthy relationship is. So that does happen. Stopping engaging in that commercial sexual exploitation in general. So going to strip clubs, being okay with hypersexualization of people in general. And I would say to be aware of the signs, educating ourselves about trafficking, and calling whoever you need to in your country, city. So for us in Houston, we have, the Houston Police Department. We also have the National Human Trafficking Hotline that we can call to whenever we see and identify victims, signs of trafficking.
Mm-hmm. But how, like an ordinary person like me, how do I know that a girl is being trafficked?
Sure. So some of the signs, whether that's on the streets or it's maybe a neighbor, there's multiple signs, such as somebody's, say, documents being taken away, somebody having bruises, maybe not looking you in the eye, maybe seeming like an isolated person situation. You have to get to sometimes know somebody in order to understand what those signs of trafficking are. And it looks different for, say, like sex trafficking versus labor trafficking. And it looks different on the streets versus maybe somebody that you know from school. Maybe they're not doing as well in school. Maybe they've been isolated from their friends. Somebody is taking them away from their support system, which is a big way that groomers get their victims, is to befriend them and isolate them from their support system.
Got it. Well, so, Natasha, if I'm a visitor to your center, if I'm a woman who's come to your center for the first time, just walk me through your center and show me around. Like, what is the process like for me?
Sure, let's be happy to.
So tell us a little bit about this room.
So this is our resting room, because we want the survivors to come to be able to have that quiet space if they need that. And so this couch pulls out into bed. We wanted to just make it beautiful and peaceful in here. And so we even have one of our favorite verses on the wall here: "Come to me, all who are tired and weary and burdened, and I will give you rest." So this is just a safe, relaxing space for clients to come.
Excellent.
Hey, Alexa.
Natasha.
This is COVID.
Hi, Alexa. So what happens here?
Yeah, so this is our boutique room. So clients that come in, they're able to pick out outfits, because a lot of them do not have proper attire. And so we want to be able to provide them that dignity.
So are these clothes donated, or how do you get these clothes?
Yeah, most of our clothes are donated here from anybody in the community that just wants to support our efforts.
Got it. So women can come here and pick out what they want to wear and take it with them?
Yes.
Awesome. Excellent.
Hey, Tracy. Hey, Shawnee.
Hey. How's it going?
Yeah, so this is our Tracy, our peer engagement specialist, and Shawnee, our operations director. This is COVID.
Nice to meet you.
Nice to meet you as well.
Great room. So what goes on here, Natasha?
Yeah, so in here we have a variety of classes that happen in here, such as yoga, our workforce solutions classes, and just teaching survivors job skills.
So it's like a classroom for, getting education of any kind.
Yes, a variety of different programs happening here.
Awesome. Excellent. Great. Let's go to the next room. tell us a little bit about this board. Is this the first thing people see when they walk in?
Yeah, so this is in our reception area. So we have a variety of classes and programs that are going on here that are available for survivors.
You know, I noticed you have yoga written on here in your schedule. Why do you have yoga classes for victims of human trafficking?
Yeah, so yoga is just one way that we can help survivors heal from their trauma. And so we want to offer that to them as another way besides just therapy to help them heal.
Interesting. And what's a support group? You've got support groups.
Yeah, we love our support group. It's actually led by our peer engagement specialist who is a survivor herself. And it's just a place where the survivors can encourage each other, can help share their struggles. We actually have a comfort dog that comes in to that time as well.
Kind of a place for them to reflect on.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay. Great.
So this is our encouragement tree, and so we ask anybody to come in and write notes of encouragement for the survivors. And this is just for them to see that they are loved and that they have dignity, and that, you know, that they need that encouragement from each other and others.
Wow, it's amazing. It's excellent.
Yeah, in fact, would you like to write a note of encouragement?
I'd love to.
Great.
Thank you.
So some of my favorite ones on this tree are just sharing notes of like that they matter, that they're beautiful, that they're valued. You know, one of them says, "Let your light shine," because each of them has such big strengths, and we just need to help them identify and bring that out for them.
So what do I put this on with?
Yeah, here you go.
Awesome.
One of these.
And I can put it right here?
Put it right by that butterfly.
Okay, so my note says you are loved, because the biggest learning that I got from you today is that no matter where they come from, no matter what their pimps or kidnappers have told them or have put them through, I think they all have the right to be loved and to find love in life. So Natasha, thanks so much.
Absolutely.
I love you being here, and keep making the changes that you're making.
Thanks,
Thanks,
Covid.
Natasha.
I asked the Director General of the prison for permission to practice on other rapists because, I know it sounds perverse, but I was so sure that I would physically assault one of the nearby rapists. We don't teach these utterly critical competencies and skills without which our children will grow up to rape, will grow up to be violent or bully or commit suicide or become depressed, because it's not enough to just think of her as Nirbhaya, as a statistic on a heap of statistics. She would have done so many extraordinary things for India.